doing something vernacular here. Cool, so we got this song where he's actually going and doing it all on the first string, but it's real typical playing aside from the that he plays to do this all. And like we were talking about for your noodling this week, like 0, 3, 5, 7, 10, 12. There's a lot of like 10, 12 type stuff, and then a lot of and 4 chord, 5 chord, and blues wise, you know, was 5th fret, 7th fret, so just getting our bearings wise. So first up about slides, I said was, you know, put your slide across all the strings, find a slide that's comfortable for you. Doing stuff where you got the slide up here is just things that people have devised to keep their thumb over the top, which is not optimal in a lot of ways. And with those stubby slides, you can't play a full chord, like the slides that are like that, and that's what people actually wear up here. And it's guys who never play in this juxtaposition, but we're going to learn the most versatile way. So people use their pinky a lot. Why aren't we using our pinky? One of the things that's cool about this style is we can do things like play open bass strings while we play slide. And we thought, you know, we need to mute behind the slide when we're playing. We see a lot of people are using their pinky. Here's why I was taught and decided to use my ring finger. So let's say I'm playing a high part on the 3 high strings while I'm trying to play bass as well, and mute behind the slide. Here I'm fine. You know, I've got enough real estate to even hit an open 4th string. Whereas if it was on my pinky, I've got all these fingers sticking. So there's, you know, you figure out a way to bunch them up that works for you or whatever. And if you find using your pinky is more intuitive, you got to just kind of bunch your hand up weird so it's not sticking up there. Either's totally legit. The reason people say use your pinky is so you can play chords and stuff. You can play chords and stuff 99% of the stuff that we can do that way. It's just kind of this awkward thing you haven't done before. So either one's legit, but that's what we want to be doing, is only playing on the strings we're playing on, not covering a bunch of extra strings. And it's going to be your and everybody's inclination to be up higher than we want to be, because our thumb usually never goes past center in fretted playing, whereas this entire riff that we played, we're down here. Because, you know, any of this stuff, that's... The bad sounds you're going to hear, believe it or not, the only thing that you have to do to eliminate them is go thumb down, knuckles out into this nice, uncomfortable position where you're out in front of the instrument. And what I mean is, here's the things you'll hear that sound bad. I'm tilted too far this way, go like that. The other thing you'll potentially hear is, I didn't quite hit the note, and that would seem like the answer is push down harder, but then you're going to push down harder up here too. So the answer to that, here on the 4th string, I'm not quite on it, is thumb down, knuckles out, just getting our slide in that nice straight position. And all it does is moves up and down and laterally. Your thumb, piece of string between your thumb and your middle finger, it's just there for a little added guidance. We're doing something, unless you go exactly or something like that, it's just cruising along. So it's all shoulder, elbow. Any wrist involvement, though when we all started playing slide, we were like, that felt cool. It's just this big loopy thing that stays like that. And let's make your goal for this week to keep it on no more than 4 strings, but ideally I'd like to see you on the 3 high strings. And just work on the right hand up on these strings stuff, knowing that ultimately the big picture is adding bass notes too. Cool, so on to actual text. Like we were talking about, our approach, technique really matters a lot more than this, which is interesting because we see people using unconventional technique a lot. But yeah, we need to be able to do things like, the dampening, which comes up in the very first 3 notes of this song. So we got our standard 2 fret slide on the first string, and then I hit the string again. So I go, and if I didn't kind of mini dampen in between that, it would go. So if you find yourself just going, no problem. But if you're hearing, so you have to go in slow-mo there. Cool, so then we close that string off and keep it closed while we're going. Sorry. Yeah, so there we actually really have to dampen because we go to the 12th fret, so like that, and that's just a place. He likes to place more than most people, like I'd expect. But anyway. And then backing up, where we've got that same dampen that I actually wrote in this time. So I'd say big section 1, just do that. And then we are on the 3rd string going. So there we go. So it's kind of like you've got both of these dampened at this point, though you can go without them ringing out as long as you dampened it at any point. There we are. So, excuse me. Cool. So there's our first phrase. And then he does this, which is all on the 2nd string, so middle finger. And we see that, it's really important to do 3-finger picking. If I'm doing some kind of like thing, I might come up here and start using my strong fingers, but that would be the exception. I would need to be able to do that same thing going, playing bass at the same time. So yeah, 3 fingers, not 4, though we see a lot of people using unconventional technique, especially back then. Cool. So there's our first trip. And I'd just be sick at that before you even move on. And then he goes. So now we're hitting 2 strings at a time, these 2 fingers. We're like, this is just like, here I go. It really sounds like, just, and that's fine, but it's like, and you might try adding a 3rd string just to hit all 3 of them at once. Go like, it would sound cool too, but it sounds to me like he's just playing the 2 high strings going. And that's, the end of that section thematically, and on the end of the line, then he goes into single note stuff. So I'd work on that on its own now, just this, which has some, the same kind of dampening concepts. Though you'll probably find yourself not having to think about it that consciously when you're going this fast and there's not much space between the notes. Cool. So then he plays the thing that's all on the 1st string. And still just a reminder, we want to be on no more than 4 strings, but ideally 3 strings. Well, and, maybe fewer. When he's actually playing this, he's all the way down there. But we're not trying to do that this week. A lot of stuff happens I'm on 3 strings playing these little type riffs. So now we get, or rather, he does, so it's like 12 to 10. And this is kind of like when you were like, what does that say? This is what you thought it said. I'm starting at the 12th fret and sliding back to the 10th fret. And then we dampen and go 7th fret, 5th fret. So let's talk about sliding to the 3rd fret. We don't quite get a full 2 frets of real estate there, so you're going to end up, about in the middle of the 2nd fret when you're sliding to the 3rd fret, because we've run out of room. There are times where we go, all the way to the 1st fret, but, kind of, if I'm going 3 to 5, if I'm going slide 5, unless there's a half step, I'm going exactly from the 3rd fret, though there's some things people do with starting in the middle of the fret to make it sound weird, but generally speaking, right at top of the frets. But when you're at the 3rd fret, you're going to run out of room to do that when you're dampening. So anywhere close to the 1st fret, we're psyched. So this, there we are, we have that. So it's, excuse me, or whatever it was, I've got, great. So there we were. We had this. Big section, and we get all. So we've got a pedal tone in this, P-E-D-A-L, which is when a high note keeps ringing out while other stuff changes. We've got this in everything we're doing here, so we're hitting 3 strings, scoop. And just how does that actually look? It's like, I'm playing the 3rd fret, and then I just back up to that. So without the, without the slide, it's. But we won't have a ring finger, so it'll be like these 2 fingers, and that'll be your first time trying to play slide grip without with your kind of getting the slide out of the way. But there we are. So And there's our first half step slide. So he goes 3, open, slide to 3, then he goes, just slides a half step, and then just goes to the 7th fret. So that's and hits it again, right? Whatever the timing was. There we are. So there's the whole thing. Let me try one time just for funsies. Got it. So then we'll do Come On My Kitchen in open tuning, where I already have a video for that, so I'll just tab it out for you and we can talk it over. Right now we're in the same, tuning as open G, and that's pretty common to go down to C. And similarly, if you're in open G, you can go down to F or, whatever, but tuning up higher, I don't really recommend, just use a capo. Good time. So you'll see Robert Johnson playing in like open B flat. I guess he actually did tune his guitar up 3 steps. I don't personally do that because I don't want to break my strings and instrument.